All right, so we are reconnected, right?
Yes.
Everything is fine. Great. So then I would start. Hello, Deborah. I was telling our viewers how holistic the FSI program is, and that one of the strong sides of studying with us is that one enters an international family of professionals, not only in child sleep consulting field, but also in other spheres in childcare. And the real value, and for me especially, and for all of the grads, is the ability to be in touch with you as the founder and leading expert, having not only your control, but the support. And not many companies are able to offer this, especially when affiliates in other countries appear. So today I'd love to ask you some questions that could help the viewers to understand better how the FSI evolves and feel closer to our international FSI family.
Thank you.
So welcome. And my first question is about the background. The interesting thing is that unlike many of us consultants, you came to the profession not through sleeplessness, but thanks to the great sleep of your son. Please tell us more how you came into the profession and how came that you started to help children sleep.
Well, it's quite an interesting story. So back in 1996, I was an expectant mom, like many of you, and I was trying to connect to the hospital and sign up for classes like we all do, or lactation, breastfeeding, or basic baby basic classes, those kind of things that we all kind of sign up for. So I was with the local university, that was the hospital that I was connected to. And then, so I'm choosing those classes. And then there was a sleep class. Okay. Mm-hmm. Which, for me, first time mom, I thought, oh, okay, well, that would probably be a good, class to take. But this is back in 1996. Okay. So as you know, this still doesn't happen, right? But I didn't know that. I just figured, okay, that'd probably be a good class to take. So I went to, the class, and again, I'm an expectant mom, and, the professor that was teaching that class was Mark Waislott, the author of Healthy Sleep Habits, Happy Child, which again, I didn't know like anything about him, but he was just teaching the class. So I thought it was, it was a good class, preparing myself for, the sleep issues with my child. But at the same time, I also was looking for a pediatrician. So I hadn't found one, and I really enjoyed his class. So I thought, maybe I should just choose him as my son's pediatrician. So that's the connection. Okay. That's the start of this whole journey, was that moment that I picked his class. And then he became my son's pediatrician. So once I had my son Soren, and Mark was his pediatrician, we had our weekly visits, and it was super helpful. He, the first thing he told me was to buy his book and read his book. And I was like, okay. And, but every week that we went, he would give me like a little bit of an update, of where, what I should start looking for with Soren, how to establish, that healthy foundation early on. And so, it made complete sense to me. I totally followed his advice, just little tidbits here and there as I went along, and it worked. I never struggled with sleep, and why would I struggle with sleep? I'm doing the things that Mark told me to do, and it worked. But I thought that was normal. So it wasn't until I met other moms, joining moms groups, and, really excited to meet them and talk about, adult stuff. But when I would go to these meetings with these other moms, all they talked about was sleep problems. And I was like, I don't understand. Why do you have sleep problems? Like, doesn't your pediatrician tell you what you need to do? And they just looked at me like I had three heads. And and that was the moment that I was like, wow, like this doesn't happen. Like this is not normal and it needs to be normal. And so that really was kind of the point when I realized that I had to do something because this was not right. And I was annoyed because I really wanted to enjoy the time with these mothers and talk about adult things, and they're just complaining about their child's sleep. So anyhow, so that's how the journey began. So, I kind of felt like it was my duty. And that's just the person that I am. When I see something that's wrong, I have to fix it. And so, again, I never knew what it would bring me, but
But
and
now how to deal
it's
with
incredible, right? But so anyhow, I just felt a duty to start educating parents. And so obviously these moms, I, talked to them and just said, okay, so these are the kind of things that, you should be doing. And, this is what my pediatrician said and all of that. And so just helping my local moms. And then, and mind you, this is back in 96, 97. The internet didn't really start until 99. So, and that was weird as it was, but I really started to apply everything that I learned from Weisblut, going to his, Soren's appointments and things like that, reading his book, getting new books to see what else was out there, and just kind of tapping into it because I did not have sleep problems. And so I wanted to know more why people do have sleep problems, what's missing. And so it just became this project for me, a personal project. I loved it. I really enjoyed helping, moms kind of try certain things. And again, this was just the beginning. So when the internet started, I was all over that. I was like, okay, so, I can meet with moms locally, but now there's the internet. So maybe I can start like a website, or at the time it was like one page, and you had to learn how to code and stuff. I mean, I literally built my page. It's just one page with maybe some flashy words or something like that. But it was just one page, just kind of the basics of sleep. And so that was the beginning where I started, disseminating that information and getting it out to parents. Then, and I don't want to make this too long, but it's kind of cool. There was really one parenting site. It was called Parent Soup, that came around, and that was the only parenting site, the biggest parenting site on the internet. So all of these families and moms from all over the world were connecting together, and they had just tons of bulletin boards and forums and things like that. But guess what? There wasn't one on sleep. So I was like, and you could sign up and be like a board leader. And I said, this is the perfect platform for me to get out the information, and also, learn from it, so really kind of dive deeper into, different cultures and really breaking down the problem. So it was all anecdotal. I was learning, through these posts, but it was like thousands of posts a day, no joke. And I was so in it and obsessed with it because I was learning at the same time and trying to figure things out. It was like a full-time job. So, with that experience and working, with this parenting site, I decided, okay, I need to now make my own website. And that's when I created familysleep.com. And that was the first informational resource for parents, about children's sleep. And I had my own little forum. So it just kind of evolved over time, and it was busy and it was fun. And I had other moms that started doing what I was doing and helped me run the board. So they were learning, and see how it started to kind of be this thing.
And you were still connected to Dr. Weisblut, actually, because
yes,
you were sharing the information with him that you were getting from those forums, and it was like a great amount of information from
yeah,
around the world about
yes,
how they sleep and what problems they face. This is a great deal of information that you can work and rework on.
I
And
know.
actually, I could say that meeting him was a great luck. And since
Yes.
then, you continued to strengthen connections with him, and we still are connected to him. And this is one of the best things ever
Yeah.
happened to be in touch with one of the first researchers on child sleep.
Yes.
So, and this is a really great thing that he finally joined our board of experts in the
Yes.
FSI. Please say some words on your activities with him right now and what is his involvement in the Institute.
Yeah. So, at first, taking you back a little bit, I made him aware of what I was doing and what I was tapping into. And I said, this internet thing, like, you have no idea. People really need help, and we need to get this information out. And so, he had his research. He was part of Children's Memorial Hospital, so he was very busy. He was teaching at Northwestern, head of pediatrics. So, busy guy. So yeah, he had his own thing. So in the meantime, I'm still doing my stuff and I'm growing, and but I made him aware of what was happening. And then even at one point, I had met him at his son's apartment because he didn't really get the internet thing. And I wanted him to be a contributor on my forum. And so, this one time he answered questions of all of my members of my little forum, and it was lovely. But I think that sparked something in him when he realized, like, oh my gosh, all these people from all over the world, are not getting this information. And so I kept going. He was busy with his work. And then I would say in the last, and there's so much that happens in between that, right? I started working with families, and, that was a whole crazy, scene, in the sense that, like, who am I and what are you? A sleep consultant? What is that? How do you think you're trained to do that kind of thing? So it was really tough to prove. I made up my name, child sleep consultant. That's something I made up. And so, but it took a long time for people to know who I was and trust me. And once I had the following, then I was good. Then I could actually make it something. So did that for so many years, and kept in touch with Mark, telling him about what I'm doing, and, my website. And then in, 2009, when I was thinking about teaching others and starting a program, which is crazy, like taking everything that I've learned and put it into a program in order to, like, teach
Into
others
16 weeks.
in 16 weeks. Like, how do I do that? Like, it's like, I don't even remember how I did it, because it was just like, it's like I blacked out. Um,
Sometimes you just have to start
yeah,
and see the
and
result.
so I think it was like 3 months of just writing really fast and just purging the information from my brain. Like, how can I teach this? So I told him, that I was starting this school, and he's like, he's a man of few words. So you never really know how he's feeling, but he's like, oh, that's really amazing. And I'm like, well, I just want to keep in touch and stuff like that. So years go by. Obviously, the school's evolved into this amazing thing. He retires from his practice. And then once he retired, his wife, who suffered from an illness, he was taking care of her for many years. And so he really couldn't do anything because he was taking care of her. She has passed since, and he's so wanting to, get back into his research. And I think that time that he spent away focusing on his family and his wife allowed me to grow the school and make it what it is today. And it got to the point where he contacted me and just said, I really want to do more, and I want to be part of the FSI. And so for me, that was like, it's like God speaking to me. I'm like, really? Like, this is what I've been waiting for. And I just took time. But how he wants to be involved now, first of all, he's really blown away by what we've done, what we've accomplished, the graduates that are coming out of the school, what our goal is, our standard. Just literally, said that I was a pioneer. And for somebody like himself, coming from where he's at, to say that about me meant everything. So yes, he's like a kid in the candy store, because we have all these amazing graduates doing this work, and the data that we can, and this is something that I told him, this is an opportunity to get some incredible data that you would never be able to get. And he agreed. So that's really where his involvement is now, is more on the data side. And we just completed our first research project, which is amazing. And he is in the process of including this information in his edition, the most recent edition of his book, that's coming out in the summer. So he's going to talk about the FSI. He's going to talk about sleep consultants, so the profession, talk about our school, our data, and the work that we're doing. So he's the first, pediatrician researcher to actually talk about sleep consultants and the work that they do and how important it is to be included in the whole health of our children. So
this is a really great step, and this is really amazing. I'm so much looking forward to it, because it will bring us to another level.
Yeah.
The thing that we do, and it will actually exist, because this is so fun that the profession exists for more than 20 years already, but still it's not standardized, and there are many people and specialists that know nothing about it, and this would be one of this really important step into the way how to promote information about it, and help more and more people to sleep better.
Yeah, and the other thing is that he's so well respected in the medical community and the research community. What he writes and what he says, there's a huge weight on that, and people really respect him. So if he is supporting our school and the work that we do, that says so much. So to be part of that, I want our graduates to feel really special, because they are. And
you already feel as special, Debora.
I know, but you know what I'm saying?
That you do, and
you guys
how
deserve
you do.
the best.
Yeah.
You deserve the best, and people need to know that the work that they've done and the studies is the best and really the most intensive in the world. Really, there's no other program that is this difficult and that stands out among the rest.
Our graduates can tell a lot about it.
Yeah.
The intensity of the program.
Yep.
So, okay, and you really created a holistic educational program for child sleep consultants. But we all know that since then, a lot of other schools have been launched. And Are there any connections between you and those schools? Do you cooperate with some of them?
Not really. What I've learned is to just focus on what I need to do for my graduates, because I mean, I feel like it is actually a good thing to have more than one program. And honestly, I wish there were more programs like us. It would make my job a lot easier. To have really one school that is really top of the line. We can only do so much, but I wouldn't say that all the, I mean, there are some good programs out there. They're just a different style. And, I really wanted to create the school, whereas there's other programs that are brand based. And I do have, connections with some of the founders of those, and their programs are great, but it's different. It's a different style, more brand based. But I wanted to be the school. So while, yes, there are other programs out there, and which is fine, I can't think about that, because for me, I just have to make ours the best, and I have to listen to my graduates. They're the ones that are doing the work, and make it so that they have every tool available to them to be able to help as many families as possible and be successful in it. So that is my focus. So yes, billions of programs, but I stay focused on you guys and the school. So
and this is the great thing, actually, because when you are focused on the thing that you are doing, you're doing it at your very best. And this is what we want every graduate to feel, and the way that they are, the way that 1, 2, 3. Oh, I forget the word.
It's okay. They're supported.
Responsible, yes.
Yes, and supported.
Everybody should feel that they are responsible for what they are doing, because working with children is not something that you can do after you read a book or several books. So this is one of the great things that I love, especially, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to start doing it in Russian, because there are no such a program where you are so much respectful, and when you feel the responsibility of what you are doing, and when you have the support to do it correctly. And that is a really great thing about the Family Sleep Institute and about you, because you created it. Okay, so now that's the time when I want you to tell us a little bit about the way that you are involved in the educational process of the FSI nowadays. Do you take part in the education process of American branch and of other branch? Please tell us more, because I know the answer, but I want the viewers to know about it.
Well, I'm always part of the educational process. I never will not be, just because there's always something that is changing and evolving, and I have to be in tune to what's happening. So I'll always have that connection. I used to teach every single class, all of the classes within the program. And, since that, time, things have changed, and I have faculty now, and, which is wonderful. But I've now kind of taken a step back. And so I'm observing. My most favorite thing to do is to work directly with the students. So case studies, I love that. That's my favorite thing to talk about. My own cases, and just be myself. That's what I do really good now. That's what I enjoy so much. Or we have office hours during the certification. I love going to office hours, listening to their questions, and, just kind of, because I'm not working, and I know this is a question that you might ask. I don't work one-on-one with clients anymore. So this kind of gives me, the fire back, when I can listen to their their questions and the issues that they're dealing with, and be able to help them through it, because I find that's what I really know. And still,
yes, you are an
even though
expert, and you share it
but it's fun
with
for me.
consultants.
It really it brings back that feeling that I had working with families, and so to be able to share that, and you kind of see the students have that aha moment when you're like, well, maybe look into this, and they're like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that, and you're like, oh, I got it. So I still surprise myself sometimes. I'm like, how did I know that? I don't know. But yeah, it just comes with time. But as far as my involvement, that's really where my heart is. But I have an incredible staff and family that it really runs so beautifully. It's seamless now. And I really can finally say that I think that we have the perfect platform, all the connecting dots. And, we see that every year, but it is the standard that I want. So it's really exciting. But yes, I am involved, and we check in, and we're always talking about your course and your students, and I know what's going on. We have our Spanish school, same thing, because we need that symmetry, we need that connection, because
and the update, because you do such interesting things like summits.
You have to be part of it.
Interviews. Yeah.
It's the same, so there should be no difference. You should have the same connection with the US school, the Spanish school, the Russian school. We all have to be connected and have the same training, the same support. That's a standard that has to, be, at every school. So, and communicating is everything. So that's why Olga and I constantly communicate. I'm always listening, and it's important for students and graduates to know that we have that communication and that they're part of the homeschool, right?
And that we are updated and
yes, included.
Same page, that we look in one direction. Actually, we are like one program, actually, and that is one of the questions that students normally ask me, what's the difference between the American program and the Russian one. And actually there is no difference, because the program is always updated. Maybe there is some difference in style, how we do it in Russia, because the mentality is different, and the apartments that we live in, and etc. There are some features that we should know about, but still, due to this regular communication, we are updated, and we provide the best that we can. Right here, right now, not something that was recorded 3 years ago. We are alive, the same, we go together where the life goes, and this is one of the great things. So, please share with us, what are your future plans in terms of how the FSI evolves? What do you think awaits us in future?
Oh boy, it's hard to imagine, because looking back, so we're on our 10th year. Just to think what we did in 10 years, which is amazing. And I can't even imagine what is 10 years from now. Like, what is that going to look like? Like, if we've done this much in 10 years, it's hard to imagine. But I will say that having Waislblut on our staff will open up doors. The research, my kind of goal is to be like the resource of research in this industry, because like I said, the data, the time that we have that we're involved with these families is unprecedented as far as data is concerned. So just the connections that we can make, and we want to be the top of the research on children's sleep, given the access that we have. So that's huge. But also, I know, as you said, there's lots of programs that are coming out here and there, but I will say that I kind of feel like there's a shift going on, and that especially the medical community is really starting to take notice. So they're, while it's kind of intimidating to have all these programs, sometimes it allows families and the medical community to start taking a closer look, right? Because if there's all these programs, who's the best? So it kind of gets them to start doing that. And so I'm finding that people really are looking into the trainings of, these consultants, which is amazing, because when they start looking at your training versus somebody else's training, it's a no-brainer. They really respect that, and they respect the fact that, you have continuing ed, that you have to keep your certification current. This really goes alongside with many professions where, they have to get licensure and stuff like that. So what we're doing is we're creating the standard, the gold standard. So as you do that, then, things will slow down a bit, I think, with the other programs, because why would you not want to get the best training possible, right? But we're also very particular about who we bring in. We have a family of consultants. We all work together. We're not in competition with each other. Nobody's better than another. And that's really important. That shared community is really unique. So I'm thinking, if we create the standard, kind of like the Harvard of sleep schools, that's kind of how I envision that.
Why not?
Right. Then at some point, if there is regulation, we're going to be the example that everyone needs to follow. So that's why I need to stay focused, not worry about what's happening over here or here, and just create the standard so that when that day comes, that we will be the standard to follow.
And being a research base is something that is really respectful.
Huge. Yeah. It's really huge.
Really huge.
And we will have our latest results soon coming out. We'll be sharing that with you. So then you can share it with your families. So
of course awesome. We will, because this would be outstanding.
Yes, your school's research, which is really exciting.
This is really great, and I love that.
Yeah.
Now, especially when this is a really changing moment, the way where we are going with this research thing, and the thing that we can do it online, actually, really help us to stay on track. But still, what is your opinion due to this changes in the environment and in new circumstances? What do you think? Will there be any changes for the profession or for the tools we use in our work? What do you think will be, how will our work look like in 1 to 10 years from now due to these new circumstances?
You mean like the pandemic and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I think we're really, we're so lucky that we do the work in the way that we do.
We're prepared, actually.
Right? I mean, here everybody's trying to get connected and using, Zoom for the first time, and we already had that online, which was amazing. So nothing ever stopped. And I will say that I think that this whole pandemic, really has gotten families to really think about what's important. And so we saw, and I was surprised because I didn't really know what would happen, an uptick in families looking for help because they might have just ignored the problem as they were working outside of the home. Their kids are in care, daycare, school, and they just never were able to address the problems, right? But now they're home and they're working from home. And so all of a sudden, this problem is a real problem. for them. And so they had to address it. So it forced them to actually do something about it. And so I would say that just during this time has really got parents to understand better why they really need to, get the sleep help and make sure that they're all sleeping well so that they have the time. Their kids need to be in bed so the parents can have time alone, or they need to take their nap so they can get work done, and when they do all go back to work, their kids are still going to be sleeping well. And so to have some calmness in life when it's so uncertain is the most amazing gift. So I think it really puts sleep on an even higher priority this time. So, and again, everybody's online, so they're trying to seek out the right help. So I really feel that this has been a moment for us to really show what we can do and help as many families as possible. And getting out of this pandemic, the silver lining, maybe we have so many more families now sleeping well and enjoying time together in these small spaces.
This is a real great bonus.
Yeah.
And one of another good thing I see is that, for example, especially in Russia, when doctors and other specialists go online, the consultations online is becoming something really familiar.
Yes.
Because some time ago it was strange when you can't touch anybody, when you just talk online, when the distance is huge. But now it's getting more and more familiar and simple, and it's becoming more trustful. So this is another bonus from such a situation for our profession, and this is great.
I know. It was perfect timing in a way, strangely enough.
But still, there are always some ways to go out of it, and especially when you have the support, when you have several heads where to look for, and this is really a great thing to be in a family.
Yeah.
Okay, this was a nice talk, but before I say goodbye to you, please tell something to our students. What would you like to wish them, to students and to those who've recently graduated and just started their businesses as a consultant?
Well, I just want them to know that, that they're part of us, like we're all part of, a larger community, and that they should never feel afraid to connect with us. Like, we have, for instance, our once a month now, we were doing it during the pandemic once a week, meeting up with just an open session, just to a Zoom session where anybody can join, just to talk about, their lives, anything really. And so we're gonna continue that because we just felt it was so important. And we would see occasionally some of our Russian grads appear, and you don't need to speak English. You just come and you just smile.
Feel the energy.
It's just really nice. And I was just so grateful that was happening, because I want you guys to feel part of us, because you are. And so you have access to everything, I mean, just, know that classes, if you can, if it's possible, the Facebook groups, it doesn't matter. Just having that connection is so important. But just know that, I mean, Olga's trying to also create that community within your graduates. It's so important, and that is so unique. Again, that we really take our job seriously. We really care. And the best advice we can get from each other is from our own experiences, right? I never had that. And that's why it took me 10 years to figure it out. You can't take 10 years to figure it out. There's too many families. So it is the best thing in the world to have that support. And we take that really seriously, and then at some point, we want to gather together for, seminars or sleep retreats, as we call them, that's going to happen, because I think, I really do want to connect the dots, through Europe and all around. We have, all of these people are just like you. So they feel the same way. They're just as passionate. They worked really hard to get certified. It's extremely difficult to get through this program, but there's a reason why Olga picked you, because she knew you could do it. And I know what that's like. And when I can find that person, it makes me so excited to have them part of my family, because I know that they're just going to explode with excitement and just be so nerded out, like a sleep nerd. Just it's fulfilling something that they never thought was possible. So, we are all the same, and we laugh a lot. So just,
That's
that's really important. So, but just know you're never alone. You should never be alone, right? Always tap into your base, because that's what we're here for. Okay.
Thank you so much. This is a great, inspiring talk. And for the viewers, of course, a possibility to see who stands behind this great and extensively developing business in child sleep consulting. So, wishing you all the best. Take care.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Me too. I love you.
Love you.
And for our viewers, if you have any questions or suggestions on your further video, sorry, I will do it once again. And for our viewers, if you have any questions or suggestions on our further video content or want to join in our family, just contact us via phone or email below this video. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.